Hello, hello, crafty mavens. So I have a technique video for you today, which means we're going to focus on the product focus for the month of October, which is cut files. And I'm going to show you how to take a cut file that's been cut just in white cardstock and bling it out. So I'm going to start by going ahead and backing all of these leaves with papers from Pink Paisley's Auburn Lane collection. This particular cut file, you can find it for purchase in the Click Kits cut file shop. And I am going to just back all these gorgeous leaves, and then we're going to work with some Distress Oxides, and we're going to add some clips, and we're going to add all kinds of fun things. So cut files. I do have a silhouette, and so this is how I do cut files. Once a month, I grab a stack of white cardstock, and I set up my silhouette with just a bunch of different cut files that I think I might use. I get whatever is new from the Click Kit shop, and I get a couple different ones. Sometimes I buy them. I love Paige Evans cut files, so I'll grab those. Just all those kinds of things. And I binge cut. So I cut and cut and cut and cut and cut, and I cut only in white cardstock. And that way, when I'm ready to scrapbook, I can grab a cut file, and as you can see here, I can alter it and make it not white at all anymore. So this is, I'm using stencil brushes, and I'm using a mixture of Distress Oxides and Distress Inks, only because for whatever reason I don't have any green Distress Oxides. Add that to the shopping list. So I am using Tattered Rose, Vintage Photo, Fossilized Amber, Antique Linen, and then the regular Distress ink is Iced Spruce. And so what I'm doing here is I have one stencil brush for each of the colors that I am using, and I'm just going ahead and rubbing the stencil brush over areas of the white cut file, and it gives them this gorgeous color. A really great thing about this is I can use all these different colors, and I can color this cut file however I want. And because Distress Oxides are quite opaque, they work fabulously for this technique of cutting the cut files, of coloring cut files. This does get a little fiddly, I guess, maybe, but it's like coloring a stamp or anything like that. You really just kind of get it all laid out, decide what your colors are going to be, put something fun on the TV, that you want to listen to, and go. I do recommend using stencil brushes because in this case, this cut file is very intricate, and it's small, like the lines are small, and so I didn't want to rip it. And sometimes when you start using the foam ink blending tools, they can easily kind of rip paper, but the stencil brush kind of goes over them quite easily. So I'm just going to continue on here with all of my different colors, and I'm using them to color in different elements of the leaves. And now you can see, even now, if you look at kind of the part of the cut file I've colored versus the part that I haven't, how blending in that ink gives it such a different look. Those harsh white lines are just going to kind of blend into the pattern papers, and it gives it just a super fun and interesting technique. So I highly recommend trying this. Again, you can use it with Distress inks, you can use it with Distress Oxide inks. You probably could use it with pretty much any ink you have. My only thing that I would say really is stencil brushes. I just have fallen in love with stencil brushes. They are so easy to use. They provide such a nice, smooth coverage. I love them. And they're super easy to clean. All you have to do is lay a baby wipe down on your surface and just run the brush over the baby wipe until the color comes off. The brushes will stain, so I have a whole set of them, and each stencil brush is for a different color family. And so that way the colors don't mix. And you can flip. I am okay flipping between Distress Oxides and Distress inks, and I use Catherine Pooler inks, and just I've used white pigment inks. And the only thing you have to remember when you do that is to make sure that you get a baby wipe and clean your brushes in between. So as long as you clean them really good in between, you're fine. If you're only going to use one type of ink with your brushes, you don't even have to clean them. But if you're going to use different inks like oxides and pigments and dyes and different inks, then you need to clean them in between. But like I said, super easy. Just grab a paper baby wipe and smush them over. So we're almost finished with this step in altering our cut file, but there's more. So you can see how there's those little holes in the cut file. And when I saw those little holes, my immediate thought was, oh, we can totally put sequins on this. So since I'm going to be primarily using the Auburn Lane by Pink Paisley products, and I'm using a click kit, so this is October's click kit, which is the Gather kit. If you want to get a nice selection of that Pink Paisley Autumn Lane, that's a nice kit to go ahead and purchase, and you can get it in the shop, in the click kit shop. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and add sequins. So these are called Elegant Winter Sequins. They're from Sara Scraps. Her sequin mixes that she released this month in October are completely different from anything I've ever seen. They have little wood veneers mixed in. This Elegant Winter set has these adorable little flowers and leaves. They're like tiny little flowers and leaves, and they're so cute. So I'm adding some small detail flowers to the centers of the pink flowers, and then I'm adding black sequins to the centers of those little like berry things, and it just is going to make everything pop. And this collection, so my color inspiration piece, I pulled the oranges and the pinks from the mood board, but then I also pulled in the colors that are in that Auburn Lane collection as well. So now I'm going ahead and I'm adding bits of fun foam to the back of this cut file to pop it up just a bit. And then I want to add some color behind my cut file. So this is just a sheet. Of white cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead and use the stencil brush to put some of this color behind my cut file. I'm going to use all four of the colors. So I decided not to use the vintage photo because I felt like that would be really dark. So we just have the worn lipstick and the iced spruce, the fossilized amber, and then I put in a little bit of the antique linen just to blend it out. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to map my photos. And this is a photo of my husband and I. We went to see like off-Broadway, but the Broadway musical Beauty and the Beast. And I took a couple photos. So I actually have a couple photos I'm going to do of this event because we don't get to have a date night very often. And it had been a really long time since I scrapbooked a photo of the two of us together, so I thought that it would work well. And also, I thought that the colors of the Auburn Lane collection went really well with my photo. So I'm going to put a doily behind my layout, and then I'm going to add some black and white washi tape to the top and the bottom because I have that black and white, or I have the black sequins in the cut file, and then I also have some black, there's also some black elements to this collection. So here I'm putting on this black and white washi tape, and I'm going to put it at the top and at the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and decide on my embellishing, and I know that I want to use the title Date Night, but I wasn't sure about the alphabet or where to put it. I really wanted to use this pretty floral thicker set because these kind of printed thickers are sometimes hard to place on a layout. But I knew if I could put them onto the white background, they would pop enough that you could really be able to read them and all that. And I had thought maybe there was a small alphabet in that sticker sheet, but there wasn't. So I'm going to kind of think about where I can put this title so that it will go nicely. And what I ultimately decided to do was I decided to put half of it at the top and half of it at the bottom, and then I can create some clusters and kind of do a diagonal design across the wreath. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the die cut packs. I have both the die cut packs for this collection, and I'm going through both of them, and I'm pulling out just the little bits and pieces of leaves and things. I don't have too many of the flowers left, and I didn't want to pull in the black and white ones. So I'm just kind of deciding here what little bits I can use on this layout. I don't want a ton of embellishing because I definitely want the wreath to be the standout piece. And if you'll notice there, I took some clips. These are some paper clips from Fancy Pants. They came in a past clip kit from, I think last month, September's kit, maybe even August kit. And I had kind of had them on my desk, and I really wanted to figure out a way to use them onto a layout. And so this was the perfect thing because I just kind of clipped them over top of some of the die cut leaves, and that just made another layer, another thing to look at on this wreath, another way to take this cut file and like step it up. So I'm going to go ahead now and just add some of these flowers. I'm going to cut them so that I can really get some at the top and some at the bottom and get everything kind of layered and in place on these spots. And this is kind of a really nice, a die cut can be a really nice element to a page, especially one that you can add things to and step up a bit, because when you have a collection and you're just down to the last little bits, like these are, I used all the flowers and leaves I had left in this collection, so this helps quite a bit to make those flowers, those last little bit of die cuts kind of work. And they're not enough that you could do something that's heavily floral, but it's plenty for this particular thing where you have the cut file to kind of help build in some more flowers. So I'm just going to add some little elements here and there, and yeah, work on getting some of these clusters kind of filled out. Now these are chipboard thickers, which means they're going to need an extra pop of glue. So I'm going to start by laying what I want to be underneath. So I layered leaves up underneath my title, which I think adds some dimension and some fun. And now I'm going to take some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I'm going to use it to stick down all of these chipboard title pieces because they're not going to stick. They fall right off, and I know that, and it really irritates me when I open up my album and the stickers are at the bottom of the page. So the last element of this is that all those teeny tiny little berries that are sticking out, I went ahead and I put a pop dot under all of them, which took out a lot of pop dots. Yes, but I also know that this cut file is delicate, and I really don't want it to get caught or tear or rip. So that will complete this layout today for the Crafty Maven. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you again soon.